So the difference between Wabi-Sabi Elements and also Japandi is that Japandi Elements revolves around organic color palettes and also slicker design schemes. For Wabi-Sabi, the difference is that they actually revolves around using hard elements like concrete cement with a juxtaposition with soft fabrics to actually create the imperfect look. Hi, I'm Kelvin, the designer of this project. So the brief I got for the house was that my clients actually want a very open communal space between the bedroom tree area. That's why we actually ended up hacking away bedroom tree walls to make sure that there's a balance between the open spaces, and also given that when needed, the rooms can be actually closed up for privacy purposes, which explains the bifold doors. The greatest challenge for me will be in this area because I'm not a very strong believer for bifold doors, but we try to meet at the middle ground to make sure that the bifold doors are done in a way that is very slick. The owners also love the usage of fluted panels. The brief was to try to have as much fluted panels as possible, where the areas where there is fluted panels is the main style of the whole house. The laminate we used for the house was also the same throughout. So coming in from the house, you can actually see the continuation of the spaces, and that's why it makes like this entire house like one perfect look. The Wabi-Sabi Elements comes from having the decoration pieces to be slightly of a very rough texture. Because our designs of the whole house is very organic color, it's good to actually have the very rough texture to bring out the design of the Japandi Elements. Because again, Japandi Elements is not just on clean slick lines, it's also on trying to combine the 5 elements, the zen effect to it, which actually helps to create this perfect combination between Wabi-Sabi and modern Japandi. For this house, there's some of the elements of the house being left untouched, which are the bedroom doors, the kitchen cabinets, because they still belong in the Japanese color palette, which we actually try to salvage them by door wrapping them to make sure that they actually blend with the current existing color scheme for the house. For the kitchen side, we did fluted glass sticker to make sure that we try to hide away the old kitchen design. Why we use light wood and dark wood for this project is that for the light wood, we actually mainly focus on the vinyl floors and also the cabinet colors to actually make sure that they look as natural looking as possible, as all Japandi team focus on the natural element involved. For the darker wood, we actually use it for the furnishings, which is actually as a great demarcation between furnishings and also built-in furnitures. My client actually has a young son, so using light wood as light furniture will be a hassle to actually maintain. So a darker wood will be a better choice, and I can't deny the effect turned out better than what we expected it to be. The usage of fluted panels being used in this project is actually 4 different variations. One is behind the sofa wall, which we actually make it to a half-moon crescent look. And for the TV feature wall, my owner actually wanted a full fluted panel walls, but I feel that full fluted panel wall is much too boring in terms of design context, which I told them that how about we try to play with ratio for this. We try to play 50-50 ratio, which is the combination between fluted panels and the use of curved partition wall to actually create the look. As for the study area, we feel that it's much more too plain looking, why we actually added fluted panels to be in front of the study table to actually create the different feature for this project. The usage of arches are actually meant to break off the rectangular blocks of Japanese design to embrace the fluidity of the organic elements. Coming from the house, you see the arches being used here, and also having it lighted up to actually make sure that it's a design feature as compared to the other areas. The arches and the rounded corners are being used throughout the entire house, and also the choice of furnitures we use are particular rounded as well. For example, this dining table is a creation between 2 rounded corners and also having fluted panels like my owners love, and including the dining table lamp, which is a very organic Wabi-Sabi element, and this fits perfect to the design that we wanted to go for. For our layout, it's much more of an open concept layout, which is why we adopt the usage of ripple flow curtains to actually break away from the traditional usage of curtains like being the day and night curtain. And for ripple flow curtains, it tends to have lights coming in as natural lights, and also it's very diffuse as compared to the usage of day curtains. So the main challenge that we actually encounter for this project will be the kitchen, because it's the pre-existing built-ins with the pre-existing laminates being done 10 years ago. The challenge is to actually mix and match different laminates across the whole of Singapore to actually find the perfect one that is the most similar to in terms of color-wise. And again, we mentioned that the bedroom doors, the main doors are not being changed. So to actually make this entire house into the element that we wanted, we decided to actually door wrap it. But first, the vendors that we have to come across to find these perfect colors was also not an easy challenge. The vendors for this was the fourth vendor before we actually found this color to match our laminate color. What I like about the design for this house is that there's no particular areas that I like it better. It's more of that when we actually design this house, I did promise the owners that we look at this project as a whole, which is why I say this project is perfect to me in terms of the entire continuity of the spaces being designed. And I also love the ambient lights actually created for this house to actually bring out the very housewarming effect here. Every time I step foot into the house, I feel proud of what we actually achieved here.